Creative superpower. We have the power to manifest as we dedicate attention to our thoughts, but often miss opportunity to achieve the greatest good. Your superpower is waiting to be unleashed to unlock a fuller, more rewarding world for all. Join us every Thursday at noon Mountain Time for Choice, Your Creative Superpower with Zoe Muro. And now, here's Zoe.
Hello, folks. Welcome to the New Thought Media Network. My name is Zoe Muro, and I'm honored to be your host today for, for Choice, Your Creative Superpower. If you're coming back, it's good to see you again. And if this is your first time, welcome to the show. I'm a religious science practitioner at the Oakland Center for Spiritual Living in Oakland, California. And I'm also a transformational coach. I assist people in living their lives as fully as possible. Today, in episode 5, we'll be exploring the relationship between choice and aging. All right, so very first question that comes to mind, do I really have a choice about aging? Well, yeah. And it kind of prompts the question, do I want to be alive? Assuming the answer to that is yes, you have chosen aging. It's just the way it goes. However, when did living become aging? I mean, when newborns, with babies, toddlers, tweens and teens, and we look at kids and they're going from childhood to teenage, and we note how they're growing up. But somewhere along the line, even though no one has previously said anything about aging, there comes a day when the passing of our days has flipped from simply growing up or living to aging. Apparently, it occurs sometime after we reach adulthood. Now, I think somebody needs to get to the bottom of this aging versus living thing. I think it's a conspiracy. Maybe young people put this together. Or maybe, just maybe, it's a belief. And as we've seen in our discussions already, our beliefs can have a profound effect on our choices. I once did an informal survey of everyone I spoke to for several days. And I asked this one question. What are you when you're no longer middle-aged? What comes next? The overwhelming response? You're old. And it looks like established definitions would actually agree with that. For example, in the Encyclopedia Britannica, it says that middle age, let me see, where is this? Middle age is the period of human adulthood that immediately precedes the onset of old age. Okay. And this is where it gets really interesting, because Britannica goes on to say, though the age period that defines middle age is somewhat arbitrary, differing greatly from person to person, it is generally defined as being between the ages of, you ready for this? 40 and 60. So that means old age starts somewhere between 41 and 61. That's interesting. Britannica also posits that in middle age, the relative potencies, that is to say, the power of something to make an impression on us, the relative potencies of past, present, and future are altered as the individual increasingly directs effort to the process of reminiscence and recollection of the past, rather than anticipation of the future. Wow. Really? That's depressing. Although Britannica does offer this to take a little bit of the edge off. It says, if approached constructively, middle age can prepare an individual for a satisfying and productive old age. Well, thank you, Britannica. Thank you so much. All right. Now, since I clearly don't buy what they're selling, why did I bother to include it? Because it points to one thing for me. It points to choice. Now, I probably can't decide not to age. Well, I mean, technically I can, but I do prefer to keep living. So I therefore prefer, in essence, to keep aging. But we have many choices here, starting with choosing just what aging means to us. Of course, the medical profession makes it difficult at times to choose, especially when they use terms like senile cataract to name a vision impairing condition caused by age. Or, and this one feels so much worse to me. The term for a pregnancy after a woman reaches the age of 35 is a geriatric pregnancy. Geriatric being an adjective that literally means relating to old people. Hey, medical profession, your mom is calling and you've been sent to your room to think about what you have done. Senile? Geriatric? Oh, come on. I mean, seriously. So, my dear friend Bonnie, the doula for grief, says, yes, if you live as long as you want to, you are going to be old. This is quite true. As a matter of fact, the longer you live, the longer you get to be old. Prince Fleet Easton. I'm glad that you're enjoying this. So, let's see, where are we? We've spoken about many things that influence our choices. When it comes to aging, there's no denying the potential impact of these influencers: society, culture, country of origin, country of residence, for that matter, the media, both the news media and the entertainment media, social media, and of course, sports. Just as we are constantly bombarded with messages of need and lack and insufficiency and inferiority and basically inadequacy, which sometimes are called commercials. So we're also bombarded with messages that to age, to grow older, dare I say it, to grow old is something to dread, something to fight against. What's truly preposterous about these messages is that the decision makers in all of these fields tend to be people who actually fall into that old age bracket. In last week's Choice Show, we spoke about the stories we tell ourselves and the stories we choose to believe that others tell about us. Prince Fleet Easton, exactly. He says, on my third act and still climbing the ladder in my career, I have no concept of my age. I understand that one completely. I'll be 72 in just about a month and a half. And I just don't know what to make of that. But we do have opportunity here. We have the opportunity to choose a better story. Now, I really wanted to find out who originated the phrase, age is just a number. And I did many, many searches, all these different search engines. I couldn't pinpoint the originator. but I did find a lot of references to it, usually people adding an amendment to it saying age is just a number, and sometimes it's a really big number. And it can be. I also noticed it was often used when they were trying to promote some activity or highlight some achievement. For example, Olympic gold medalist Dara Torres, one of my idols. At 33 years old, Torres became the oldest woman to win an Olympic medal in swimming. She was the oldest member of the U.S. Olympic swim team. And yet she won 5 medals, more than any other U.S. team member. Okay, so that's the way they report these things. And I get that they're trying to praise her for her accomplishments, but there's that underlying sense that kind of bounces back and forth between congratulations and incredulity when they add in the oldest this and the old. It's like, come on. Can't we just admire her for what she was able to do? Period. You know, it cracks me up. I spend a lot of time out on the trails, and it's not uncommon for somebody who's probably half my age to see me out there, and they look at me, and they call out, "Oh, good for you, as if I'm somehow defying the odds by actually being out there, old guy with the beard. Now, granted, sports is a unique environment because physical capability and capacity definitely does fade over time. There's no denying that. Got to be real, right? Because denying it isn't going to change biological facts. However, we see ageism constantly in virtually every aspect of life these days. Even the phrase, "you're only as old as you feel," carries in an implied negativity. Shame on you for feeling old. I don't know about you. There are definitely days that my body reminds me I'm not 21 anymore. Although in all honesty, my psyche also reminds me that I'm not 21 anymore and says, thank God, I was a mess at 21. And if you're a woman, oh man, you barely get to decide your views on aging without bringing to bear a ton of self-awareness. Because we're going to marginalize virtually everywhere. Some genius had to coin a term for a woman that prefers younger men, a cougar. How nice. It implies a predatory element. Whereas the most commonly used term for a man who prefers younger women, well, that would be, a man. Okay. I didn't come up with any of these. Ageism is bad enough, but when you add in what is essentially misogyny, that becomes shameful and, unfortunately, extremely commonplace, which is why it rarely gets called out as such. So what do you get to choose about aging? Can your choices set you up for a satisfying and productive old age? And the answer to the first question, what do you get to choose, is simply, pretty much everything. From your own perspective, that is. What I mean by that is, there's no way I can guarantee that you're choosing to not let age define you doesn't mean that others won't use your age to define you. But folks, these are your choices we're talking about, not theirs. Because that is what life is about. It's about the choices that you make. It's about the choices that others make and you choose to believe or not. Okay. So this is your life. Own it. You get to choose how you want to experience life. The answer to the second question, can your choices actually set you up for a satisfying and productive old age? Well, that's a resounding hell yeah. Absolutely. So let's examine some of those choices and see what we can come up with. Let's start with our attitude towards aging. Studies have shown again and again that people who view aging in a positive light tend to live on average an additional 7.5 years longer than their negative counterparts. That's pretty significant, 7.5 years. And seniors, see, I threw in that term, seniors. And you get to choose what seniors mean to you as well. Seniors who focus on positivity tend to experience less stress. They're more likely to be and remain active and resilient. And not surprisingly, they have a greater will to live. And this is truly awesome. Compared with other factors that contribute to longevity, age beliefs, they found, had a greater impact than high cholesterol, high blood pressure, obesity, and smoking. That's pretty powerful stuff. Oh, you might even think of choice as being a superpower. Another choice that can make a huge difference in how we age is our choice of relationships. Yes, I know we don't get to universally decide who will be in a relationship with us, but we do get to choose that we want to be in a relationship. And bear in mind, a relationship is not limited to romance. Friendship is a relationship. Belonging to a community is a relationship. Keeping in mind who and whose we are as creations of the beloved. That's understanding a relationship as well. Studies have shown again and again that one of the most debilitating factors for seniors is loneliness, a sense of no longer belonging. I get it. As I've aged, I've seen virtually my entire family transition. My grandparents, my parents, my older siblings, my aunts and uncles, almost all of my cousins, and of course, many friends over the years. Without a sense of belonging, it's far too easy to fall into a belief that we're alone and unsupported. And that's truly tragic, because we are never truly alone. We are never truly disconnected. By virtue of our very creation, we are, always have been, and always will be connected to loving spirit. If only we open our heart, our mind, and our spirit to its love and grace. We can choose to seek a community. We can choose to find a way to relate. We can choose to explore a way to belong so that we can be nurtured and supported, even as we can nurture and support. If there was anything positive that the pandemic gave us, I would have to count on our ability to connect online in the top 10 for sure. We don't even need to leave the comfort and security of our home to find ways to connect with like-minded people. Folks who share your values, communities where you can continue to grow and flourish. Like this one, the New Thought Media Network, if I do say so myself. And finding relationships, finding communities makes it even easier to choose meaningful, energizing, and positive activities, which can make a tremendous difference in how we view life as we age. Maybe it's an activity you never had time for before. And now you choose to spend your time in these activities that bring you joy or bring you a sense of accomplishment. I know a number of seniors who took up singing or dancing for the very first time because they chose to believe that there was a joy in the act itself, not being concerned, were they going to be great singers or exceptional dancers? Do you know, if you were to go into a kindergarten class and ask who's a good singer or who's a good dancer, odds are every hand in that class is going to go up. Where did we lose that wonderful sense of ability and capability? You know, I didn't take up running until I was 60 years old, and I had a blast. I've got a wall full of medals inside, and I've got a head full of great experiences. I want to take this particular moment, though, once again, to look at what might seem to be the harsher side of aging, diminishing physical capacity. And I mention that because today I'm no longer able to run. Before I learned how to exercise properly, I pushed my body through pain and injuries, most of which were from accidents, poor judgment, or simple ignorance. And that left me with irreparable damage to one of my knees, which over time, with continuous use, continuous damage, eventually I had to get a total knee replacement. Now, as much as I wanted to continue running, for me, the prosthesis just wasn't comfortable enough to allow for that. So I chose to honor my body. But I also chose to find other ways to get out on the trails and enjoy the beauty of California, because I am blessed to have right here, almost literally in my backyard, the most incredible, incredible trails. Phenomenal alternative to running for me. And believe me, it's not just simply walking with sticks. This is a great workout. I'd be delighted to tell you all about it, but that really doesn't fit in with what we're doing here. So if you're interested, drop me a line. Very happily bend your ear on this one. The point is, though, not all physical limitations have to stop us cold. We need to get creative. We need to be open to expanding our definitions of what well-being means. Another profound way that aging has changed my life is literally my line of work. For quite a few years, I was a personal trainer and a performance coach. And I'd be working out right next to my clients, heavy weights, carrying things literally all around the Bay Area for a while. That is until arthritis in my hands and my wrists forced me to rethink exactly how I could best support people looking to live their fullest life possible. And for me, I realized that devising workout routines and dutifully watching their form and counting repetitions, yes, it helped, but it never really brought the same impact into someone's life as being able to help them focus on their vision of holistic well-being and creating realistic goals to achieve the results they envisioned. And so what looked like a loss in one respect actually led me into the next phase of my life. It led me to the spiritual support and transformational coaching that I now provide. I am truly living my life with a renewed sense of purpose. How glorious is that? And speaking of ways that we can choose to live rather than simply age, being in loving service to others is right there at the top of the list. It provides focus, meaning, energy, belonging, community, and so much more. So another thing that's important for us to do as we make these choices is to choose what will work best for our bodies, what will work best for our lifestyle, what will work best for our psyche. Now, I used to be a bodybuilder years ago, not the freaky behemoths, like absolutely gigantic people, but I did carry about 55 pounds more muscle than I do now. And I was big, I was much stronger, but I really wasn't any healthier because I kept pushing my body beyond its limits until I learned more. When I finally did learn, I realized that this was not going to be healthy. Now, I work out with weights 3 days a week, and it is serious lifting. I can definitely deal with some very significant lifts. But these are workouts that keep me not only functionally fit and strong, but they also enhance my mobility. They enhance my flexibility. And then 3 other days a week, I do specialized workouts to keep my cardiovascular system strong. It allows me to get out on the trail, get into nature. And I also have 1 day of absolute rest. So while the physical side of well-being might change, and often dramatically so, we still can choose to find our niche and support our efforts by how we look at life, by how we take care of our bodies physically. Do we exercise? Do we choose solid nutrition? Do we turn away from poisons of tobacco and abusing alcohol or drugs? Do we ensure that we get proper rest and relaxation? Do we keep our minds engaged, open, and flexible? And this is huge. Do we challenge our limiting beliefs about what aging means to us? When my granddaughter was a little girl, I was always frustrated when I read storybooks to her, because all the grandparents in the storybook were these very kindly but basically frail, sweet, sedentary people who smiled and sat and didn't do much of anything else, which was definitely not our experience. And to this day, I do what I can to provide an example of what aging can be. Because it's important not simply for people who are seniors to look at this, but for young people to look at this. That's where they can start to make the changes for themselves. You know that quote, "Be the change you wish to see in the world"? Well, while you're doing that, I invite you to be the person who helps change the way the world views aging. Now, I'm going to give the poet Samuel Ullman the last word on this topic. He says, "Nobody grows old merely by living a number of years. We grow old by deserting our ideals. Years may wrinkle the skin, but to give up enthusiasm, that wrinkles the soul." Folks, I'd love to hear how you're choosing to address aging. So please feel free to email me at zodemiro@gmail.com. And if there's a topic relating to choice that you'd like to see me addressed in a future episode, by all means, let me know. You can, once again, send me an email, zodemiro@gmail.com. And I would be more than happy to address that in a future episode. My time is running short. I want to encourage you folks to check out everything that you can find on the New Thought Media Network. Today at 12 noon Pacific time, that's 1 p.m. Mountain time, Finding the Joy in the Journey with practitioner and soon-to-be minister Gina Calvario-Krupka. And then at 1 p.m. Pacific, which is 2 p.m. Mountain time, stay tuned for practitioner Ken Ludwig's show, The Vibrant Living Hour. I encourage you, if you have an opportunity to go over to ntmedia.org, see everything that we have going on there. And if you have an opportunity to do so, drop us a little donation. Greatly appreciated. All right, folks, be well.
Choice, your creative superpower. We have the power to manifest as we dedicate attention to our thoughts, but often miss opportunity to achieve the greatest good. Your superpower is waiting to be unleashed to unlock a fuller, more rewarding world for all. Join us every Thursday at noon Mountain Time for Choice, your creative superpower with Muro.